All right, Bulls fans, welcome back to another episode of the Bulls Brothers. Coming off a nice little victory over Charlotte, 59 to 24 at Charlotte. So can take a deep breath and
Yeah,
maybe have a little bit of positive to talk about this time. How's it going, AJ?
it's going good. And you're right. I mean, there was a little bit of positive in that we got a victory. I was glad to see that. This is a game that, this is kind of what our team has come to, that we're happy to beat a team like Charlotte, which, is all right. But we
Mhm.
did beat them, I guess handily. They kept it close through the end of the third quarter, I think, but we walked away with it. So I'm glad to have a win and be one step closer to making a bowl, which again, the beginning of the season was our we how we were going to determine a successful season.
Yeah,
So I think we're doing good.
yeah. No, yeah, good is it's a strange term to describe the season, but better than the last few years, excluding last year, I guess. But
Hmm.
yeah, not a
Well,
bad.
even last year, by the way, we had a midseason slump,
Yeah,
and came back. Uh, I was thinking about it though, so I think four teams that we've lost to were our ranked teams now, if I'm not mistaken. So we I don't know. It is as bad as it looks and not as bad as it looks at the same time,
yeah,
in my view.
yeah. Well, I guess at this stage we can kind of hang our hat on. At least we lost to the teams we lost to were somewhat good.
Hmm.
It's not something in the future. Hopefully, we'll be able to say, at least we lost to ranked teams. If you got teams like Alabama saying, well, at least we lost to a team that was in the top 25. That doesn't cut it. They don't care. A loss is a
Hmm.
loss, right? But I guess we could kind of hang our hat on that. And at this point in kind of the program's history, um, we can use that one a little bit. But um, 5-5 so far in the season. There's a lot of teams that are a lot worse off than us right now, so we have to kind of look at that a little bit. And like you said, we're one step closer to that bowl berth. Which, if you listen to Alex Galesh, he could care less about a bowl game. Which,
Hmm.
um, I the fans want a bowl game. I understand where he's coming
Yeah.
from, but at the very least, give us a we want a bowl game. We want to feel like we're at the big kids table talking
Yeah,
about bowl games with everyone else in a few weeks.
yeah, but I understand him not caring about a bowl game because quite honestly, what are they but just window dressing now, right? It's
Yeah,
not teams don't show up with their full team, and
yeah. Well, I
it's
mean, if you're not in the New Year's
yeah,
bowl,
six bowl,
New
yeah.
Year's Six bowl, you're basically just in a participation trophy, is what it is.
That's right. That's right. But
But it's still
at
something.
yeah, at least having earned that means that you've won more than half your games and you've had a better than bad season.
Right.
Depending on what your standards are. And our standards are, we don't want to go undefeated, or we don't want to go fully defeated. We'd
Yeah,
love to go undefeated,
that'd be great.
but that's not even within reach, not even within reality.
Right.
Sad to say, but that's where we are and where we'll probably be in mediocrity for a few years.
Yeah.
Maybe the new stadium will start attracting more, positive energy. But I think I've come to terms with the reality that, we should be happy with what we got because, at least it's not what we have previously recently had.
Right. Yeah, but enough about that sad stuff. Let's talk a little bit about some of the positives from last week. So once again, 59 to 24 victory. So, um, you know, offensively, I think we had a heck of a game on the offense side of the ball, especially rushing, broke a
Rushing, yeah.
program record, which,
Yeah,
you know,
425 yards, I think. Yeah,
yep, 425 yards, and that was a team effort. We had multiple backs contributing to that, not only in just rushing yards, but even the touchdowns. Um, kind of back to what we talked about probably in week 3 or 4 of the season though is this is it's literally every, and it's scary to think about this because we have a game this coming week and the trend has been every other game the running backs show up. So are they going to
Well,
show up
yeah.
next week? This is the big question right now. But they certainly did last week. So like you said, the
Well, I can tell you
425 rushing yards was great.
after putting up that number for rushing this week, I could tell you what Rice is going to be prepared for next week, the run game,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and so that may have something to do with the every other week thing, but yeah, they're definitely going to be, you know, trying to stop our run because that's
That's our strong suit.
what we have, you know.
Also, I want to
Do
say
you
every win, if you look back at the win and loss column, if you look at those wins, it's
and
heavy
the
rushing.
rushing? Yeah,
And if you look at
yeah.
those losses, there's non-existent rushing. So
Yeah, do you have the stats there in front of you? What was our passing yards for the game?
126 passing yards. So not you know, not
Hmm.
too impressive in the air.
I know. Including, almost made me sick. The first play of the game was an interception. You know,
Yeah,
uh,
that was a rough one. But I will say, after that, um,
we ran the ball.
well, yeah, we did. We ran the ball, but in terms of the attempts to completions, Archie was
Hmm.
11 for 16, so fairly effective every time he threw the ball. After that awful interception, that one was tough, but we bounced back. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, so I mean, no touchdowns in the air for the guys this week. Got to see Izzy, the third
we did
string.
get we did get one touchdown in the air. It just came from the opposing team's quarterback. I think we got an interception pick six. Pick
Yeah,
six. Yeah.
and going back to that, you said last week every player needed to hit the jugs, and from what Golesh said is uh, that's the defensive back specifically where they were all over the jugs machine last week, and so I guess going into that game, the defensive side of the ball, they said the football gods are going to bless you, for putting in
Hmm.
that work on the jugs machine. So as a defense, they got that pick six, which was nice to see that all that work they put in, I guess pay off for them.
Yeah.
And what a great place to kind of be in the right spot at the right time.
Hmm.
You step in front of the ball on the opposing 10-yard line, so you can almost just
Walk
walk
it
right
in.
into the end
Yeah.
zone. So that was a good one. I
Yeah.
like to see that. I like to see the defense kind of get a little bit of juice. After that was fun to watch.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's good to see the energy and the team was having fun, and so we've talked about this as well, the morale, there was a lot of celebrations, scoring that many points. There's going to be plenty of time to celebrate. But it is good to see that. Um, you know, uh, Hopefully we can continue to see that. I
Yeah.
do think coming up here against Rice, we have a good chance of, a similar story unfolding.
Yeah. So
Um,
we are actually playing Tulsa this week, not Rice.
Tulsa this week's. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Rice is after
yeah,
Thanksgiving. Oh,
yeah,
all
that'll
right.
be the last game to cap it off. So we got Tulsa at home senior
Okay.
day. Um, but yeah, I mean, still a similar situation. I think as a program, Rice and Tulsa and Charlotte, us, UAB, FAU have been in kind of that similar situation
Hmm.
for the past year or two. Kind of new staffs, teams that are trying to kind of adjust to this new landscape in college football with a little bit less resources. So yeah, I mean it's going to be it'll be an interesting game, kind of us going in another game where it's kind of a chance for us to gauge ourselves, um, amongst other teams in our conference as to how well we are adjusting to this new landscape of college football.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and so we'll see how it goes. I have enough confidence uh to to hope we're going to win. But I don't have enough confidence to say it's going to be a win, and that we can show them who we are, and come out with a dominant victory. We did last week. It was actually, I wouldn't even say it was a really dominant victory. It was a dominant fourth quarter
Mhm.
when we really ran away with it. Um, but we shall see. We shall see. And it is going to go a long way for you know the future of kind of our feeling here in the American, um, and how we feel like we stack up to other teams.
Yeah.
Uh,
So right now, I think in the conference, it's been pretty set in stone so far that who our, I guess, premier teams are, and Memphis, Navy, Tulane, and Army right now. So it's
mhm.
kind of basically what's happening is it's a race for everyone else this year to kind of step up and either join that class of AAC teams or remain kind of in that mid pack. Uh,
Mhm.
so yeah, it'll be, like I said, I think for us as a program and for a fan base, winning these next two games is crucial for not only obviously the bowl berth, the positive record.
Mhm.
That's all great, but um, we have to kind of separate ourselves from those teams, and beating them
Yeah.
consistently is the separation. And we obviously haven't shown that we can consistently beat the Tulanes and Memphises and Navies. Uh, but at the
Yeah.
very least, we need to show ourselves so we can consistently beat the other half of the conference. You know, we need to. It's that bottom line.
Yeah. And the reason that we need to is because we're all awaiting the next realignment move,
Yeah.
right? Um, and they're only going to take so many teams and so many teams from so many conferences. So it's not even really, just us trying to separate ourselves from the bottom half of the American. We're trying to, on a national level, uh, separate ourselves from the bottom three quarters of the group of five team, our leagues,
Mm-hmm.
uh, conferences. And yeah, we have to we have to have at least as good of a number on paper as we can.
Yeah. On paper,
Uh,
for sure.
because the reality is, people aren't gonna, no one's gonna be watching this USF Tulsa game. No one was watching that USF Charlotte game, and so thinking about realignment, people are going to be looking and running the numbers on records.
Yeah.
And they might think about, other big games like, against ranked opponents but they're not going to think about, you know, uh,
We're not going to
how,
look at individual player
yeah,
stats against UAB in week
yeah,
6 of last year when they're thinking about,
exactly.
realignment.
So, it's as important as ever for us to win as much as we can and get to try to rise to the top of a conference. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the sad thing is, it's probably not even going to, it's likely not even going to be the American that makes it into the 12 team playoff this year. Right now it's Boise State.
Yeah.
Boy isn't
I
yeah.
mean, well,
So
there's multiple teams, and the
who are
the
going for it, but yeah.
projections keep fluctuating. But I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
I would say
we
Boise's the easy pick.
we are middle of the road in a second tier group of five conference. And I don't even know if I could say second tier, but
Yeah,
we're not the premier group of five conference, and
yeah. I mean, I would say there's room for argument there, between us and what the Mountain West is what you're getting at might be the premier group of five. I think they've got they've got Boise State. And
yeah.
Boise State, to say the least, who is committed to the Pac-12 next year,
The
right?
new
So, and like,
pack,
what
whatever
even
it is.
is
Yeah.
that conference going to look like next year?
Hmm.
They've got, they're doing basically when they did this 12 team playoffs, is what they did was they're saying, one team out of these group of fives is allowed to go on a historical run every year. So not saying that like just because Boise is the team that's going on that historical run does not mean that their conference is now more superior than our conferences. I don't think that at all. I think they're the best team right now out of the group of five conferences, but
Yeah.
um, I don't want to take away from the American in that regard, saying that I think we've produced some good football teams over the years as well, most of which could easily go toe to toe with that Boise team, and you know,
Hmm.
um, you
Okay,
know,
yeah, and
we had
there's
a
a lot of validity to your thought there, and I would agree that Boise State is just the best group of five teams here. But that does show that again, the American is not the premier. Although Mountain West has fallen apart, I think
yeah,
it is gone. If I'm not mistaken, with all the teams having gone to the Pac-12 now. So you know, there are realignment things, moving.
yeah,
The tectonic plates are moving, and I guess one good thing that we have going for us, and I'm sorry to have turned this conversation a little bit, but this is what I'm thinking about. One good thing that we have going for us is, I guess, a little bit more of a brand and a willingness of the university to invest in the football program right now. So we were also kind of included in that small group that the Pac-12 was courting, which we
yeah.
said no, which is good. But yeah, I don't know. I even with a win, I'm still a little bit frustrated with where we are.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of just coming out right, I guess, in my thoughts right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's been very visible in our last couple of episodes where, um, as much as we want to sit here and talk about what happened last game and what happened next game, we're just talking about what the fan base is talking about. And
Mhm.
we're an extension of that fan base. That this is more so than in the beginning of the season, the whole fan base, if you talk to them, oh man, what do you think about USF football this year? They'd have said, well, this game and this game and this game. Now they're not talking about game to game. They're saying, this is, we're at the end of the season. So we're looking back and saying, talking more about what we were and weren't happy with and what we hope to see, I guess, moving forward as a program. So
Mhm.
I think it's a natural flow of conversation that we're kind of in right now where we're kind of tired of talking about rushing yards and sacks. We want to talk about program progression is what we're looking for right now.
Yeah, yeah. And don't get us wrong, we do enjoy talking about rushing yards and sacks, but
Yeah, especially when we're in the better side of those categories at the end of the week.
yeah, that's right. That's right. But yeah, just almost feels like, the rest of the season is, whatever happens. But we do need to get as many wins as possible. If we can get three more wins, we would have a good record, of 8-5 at the end. And so again, on paper, that's okay, and definitely better again than where we were, what, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
Um, so, I understand that it takes a little bit of time to kind of grow and get everything settled down. Um, and, I'll mention this again. I like Galesh. I do like, what he's done with the program. I like his attitude on a lot of things. And I kind of like that, this is a result of where we are in the season, but there's probably not going to be a lot of suitors,
not this year.
for, yeah, which is okay, which is just going to, have him around to be able to build, a little bit longer,
Oh yeah,
which is good. Um,
yeah.
and,
Well,
we
which
just
I think
need,
that's what he wants. If you like,
Mhm.
when you just listen to the past couple of press conferences, whether they were after the game or, uh, you know, looking into this Tulsa week, even it's kind of funny because even his conversation has shifted from X's and O's and rushing yards to, you know, it's the end of the season. This is where we're at now in year two. what do I want, or what do I see, or what are we looking at for year three there, where him, like in his conferences, he's looking, kind of past the week that's right in front of him. And I know he says, we got to play the next game. We got to win the next day.
Hmm. Hmm.
But when you listen to his conferences too, when you're talking about the program's overall success, he's really just basically makes it seem like, yeah, we did what we did this year. We laid a little bit more framework, but he's continued to kind of harp on what does year 3 and 4 look like with a second full recruiting class. Now he's going to have incoming freshmen, sophomores, and some juniors that have been in the system that he's developed. So that's kind of what, if you listen to what he's got to say, that's what he's more excited about, and that's why he keeps saying, like, we're not here this year. We're not playing this season just to sneak into a bowl game. We're laying the framework of this program that I'm trying to build. And if a bowl game happens, it happens. But that's not the win, the end all be all of our season if we make a bowl game. Like, I'm more focused on making the right steps to see what the next few years, will build upon from this season.
Hmm. And that's good because that's what we need. That's what we need. If things go like we think they'll go for the rest of the season, he'll have an overall winning record after 2 years, which
Yeah.
is
Better than
the
an
most we could have
overall
asked
zero
for.
win record.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, we could have asked for a lot more, but that is something that we can be happy about. If 2 years ago, before this hire was made, they said, "What if we can guarantee you a coach that will have you an overall winning record in two bowl games in the first 2 years?" We would have been freaking ecstatic. And
Yeah.
we're here, and so we have to kind of look back at that because I at least am here and still a little bit disheartened, but you know, the progress we've made is actually pretty good.
Hmm.
Uh, and so, I guess we can be proud of that and be hopeful to look for those next couple year improvements,
Yeah.
as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what the school and the staff is looking at. And I think they're kind of, it is, as long as we can kind of keep Golesh around, I think we can kind of always expect like incremental growth year to year.
Hmm.
And the more that you think about it too, is in this harsh climate of NIL and um, the coaching carousel that's just never seems to stop spinning. Um, we're kind of almost, we're getting better as a program, but also kind of flying under the radar a little bit, right? So, if we came out year one or even this year with Golesh and we popped a 10 or 11 win season and now we're in the race for a playoff spot, like we kind of, we're talking about, that's when, okay, well, who's this coach? And all these coaches or all these schools are gonna start looking at our coach. Well, who's this quarterback? All these schools are gonna go looking for our quarterback. Right now we're kind of building in silence, which I honestly, as much as we want this, right now result, I think as a program, it actually may kind of set us up better in the long run to kind of slowly build this thing up. Because if we just pop onto the radar, everyone's going to look over at us, say, "Oh, who is that, and what are they doing?" But if we kind of slowly but surely nudge our way in, it's like we'll just be kind of just smoothly kind of sailing into hopefully what ends up being our next step and next level as a program.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And so, patience is the word of the day then, I guess, the word of the rest of the season, the word
yeah,
of the next few couple years, I guess.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I think at this pace that we're at, um, you know, I think next year we'll need to see um, more consistent and just better overall football being played on the field. Wins and losses, uh, happen how they happen. But if we, there was a couple of losses where it just was painful for us to watch, and there was a couple of wins where you're like, yeah, I guess we won that game. We on the scoreboard won that game, right?
Yeah.
So next year you kind of want to see, going into some of our bigger games with we'll have I don't know if we have Alabama next year again or if it's the year after, but we have Florida in Gainesville. Um, that or and more so even just our conference games with these higher tier teams in our conference.
Yeah. And
Just
that's
let's
who we're
go and
really
like
competing against,
play
right?
good
Yeah.
football with those guys. Like when we, played
That's
Tulane this year, we played Navy this year. It's like,
mhm.
you know, I would even if we go into those two games next year and happen to lose them, I want them to be good football games, competitive football games. Those are straight up blowouts,
Yeah.
and that's just something that we can't have next year. And then I guess you're looking into year four. You're hoping for, you're getting closer to that stadium. The on-field play has been better for a year. Your recruiting is hopefully a little bit better, and now, okay, now this is actually kind of a solid football club. I think that's as slow and as painful as this process is going to be again over the next couple of years as it was over the last 2 years. I think with Golesh, you're going to still see just a slight improvement year to year, and that eventually is going to set us up for success.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I'll be here waiting, I'll be here
Yeah.
for when it happens. Um and I can only echo everything that you just said. We want to see good, meaningful football be played. Again, Tulane, Navy, even Memphis, those we got beat, pretty handily there. And then some of our wins, they weren't we beat Charlotte, and we blew them out pretty well, at the end. But you know, they were something that we have to be proud of now. But I want to be cheering on good football, good,
Hmm.
tough, competitive football. And I want, you know, at the beginning of the year, we were talking about, Miami. First of all, we thought we were going to be, their deal breaker this season. Um,
Boy, were we
and
wrong on that one.
yeah, and you know, we even did have someone comment, y'all really think USF is going to, do anything? And the reality is we did, but those fan bases, they don't care about having USF on the schedule. We'd like to be to a point where people are like, all right, well, this isn't going to be a cakewalk at least.
Yeah.
People who are teams who, are competitive. I can't do two air quotes because I'm fighting a little dog over here on the side, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we will see what we see. Um, but I guess to hone it all back in, let's focus on next week. Let's go get a another win and get that bowl eligibility out of the way so we can kind of go into that last week free and just really play some good football with Rice,
hmm
and just make it a positive season and kind of hang
yeah,
our cleats up and look forward to the next season. I think that's all we can do at this point.
yeah, that's right. And continue to be here and and care about the team, I guess.
Yeah, but that's it for our TED Talk. We ran a little long there, but thank you guys for watching. If you guys have also anything you guys want to discuss about the realignment and kind of what your guys' thoughts are, please do drop a comment, or DM us on Instagram _ Bulls Brothers. We'd love to kind of chat and see other Bulls fans' perspectives on it. But other than that, go Bulls and let's go get another W this week.